second of my 600-pound life, you had a question about fat people being pretty. What do you think? I was trying to get him back on his question.
What's up? I did not say anything about fat people being pretty.
I think I'm pretty.
You are dog.
No. That's right.
You look like you.
Wait, is he blinking his eyes? Johnny, are you blinking?
I'm trying to bat my eyes.
Oh shit!
He look like he just got a new car. He just saw that shit get backed into by a big.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to. Oh, that's too bright. I can't do that. Welcome to the Artist Exchange radio show here live only on BExposedRadio.com. I'm Nate. Am I ready? We good? Are we good? I can hear myself. Oh, you know what? I think. What else? That was my fault. Sorry, I had the YouTube on. Welcome. I do that again, even though it's not going to be cut out. Welcome to the Artist Exchange radio show here live only on BExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate. I'm here. I love that we are now in fall. We've been in fall for a couple of days now. This is my favorite weather. You get a little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of breeze, and we good. If it could be fall, if I can find a place that is like fall all year round, that's the place I'm moving to. Yeah. So I'm chilling. We have a guest today, Mr. Kemet Najee. He's a college buddy of mine, fellow artist, performer. I believe he's a spoken word artist. Yeah. So we'll have him on shortly. For starters, as I've said a lot, we are dealing a lot with mental health within the arts community. A lot of stress and stress management. I'm giving like little doses of it throughout, this whole pandemic that we've been in, and just in general. I think moving forward, I'm kind of try to incorporate that into what I do as an artist and as an educator and as a host. I'm gonna try to infuse that because sometimes a lot of people choose to suffer in silence. Often the shoulder for others, we often don't feel like we have a shoulder, and people don't often think we need a shoulder. So it's really directed towards those types of individuals. And because I'm going through this process of, I'm doing a creative project based on some of the experiences that I've gone through as an individual, and I am like reliving a lot of those moments for myself. So I am using a lot of the advice that I'm giving to you all, and I'm bringing people on. Today I'm gonna talk to Kemet about who he is and what he's been doing since the quarantine. Kemet is in Lafayette, Louisiana, um, and I went to school with him. He's an actor and all those things I said in the beginning. And that was rude. That was so rude to me. But we're gonna talk a little bit about that. He's another black man, and I definitely want his perspective on a number of the uh, things that are going on in the news right now and politics and such. But I'm just really, I'm getting more comfortable. I'm moving, the remote artist exchange into my said living room, and I'm um, enjoying the time that I have uh, in terms of being off and such. I'm doing my radio show. Can I call you right back? I get a little cry. But yeah, so I'm moving into this new space, and I'm really just really enjoying myself and really getting comfortable. I don't feel like I'm a prisoner inside my bedroom anymore. I'm now a prisoner of my apartment in general. But yeah, I've been moving out and I'm doing a little bit in the living room. I haven't even been in here, which is sad. I probably come in here maybe once, a couple times out of the month so far, just to stretch my legs and get out of the room. But yeah, I'm just really excited about the possibility of what's to come, more so than I have been in the last couple months. But yeah, I am, as I was saying, I'm kind of in the midst of a lot of the information that I want to share in terms of mental health and management, so stress management. And I am at a part of my project that I am kind of reliving and re thinking about, just thinking about things that I've gone through, experiences, good and bad, um, and just figuring out ways to incorporate my creativity in my healing process. Because for me, art is my life, and I'm enjoying myself um, thoroughly. Um, so I'm just finding ways to be as balanced as I can be as open as I can be. I'm learning how to reach out to people more and not just. I have a habit of when you come on my mind, I'll send you a text message or I'll call you or I'll say hello to you because social media has made that a much easier process. And I'm allowed to do that when somebody's birthday come up. I'm getting better at reaching out to them and saying happy birthday. And going back to my habit, I used to always send a gift or a card or some type of corresponding celebrating your birthday. And I'm getting better with that. I think these last, and that hasn't been an issue for me during the pandemic. It's been the last, I'll say about 2 years, and that number keeps popping up in my conversations on the show because the last 2 years I've decided to just push back from a lot of people in my life and really get a lot of things in my space um, within my space dealt with and kind of reorganized and restructured. And I'm happy to say that it has been tough. I'm happy to say it's been tough, but it has been tough. But I'm happy to say that I'm figuring out ways to be comfortable with not always being with people and being around, more specifically, family and friends. I don't, I don't have a need to be around people, but I always felt obligated to every free moment I had to fill that up with family and friends. And I am learning that I don't have to be that because I never really um, I'm a family person, but when you're going through stuff that, especially things that have been going on for a long time or things that you haven't dealt with, I'm finding a lot of happiness and um, knowing that I can deal with it, not necessarily on my own because I pray a lot. I'm a really spiritual person. It may not show as much because my spirituality to me is very personal. So I don't have the need to shout and proclaim like other people who may not necessarily feel as comfortable with their spirituality as I do. But yeah, so I've been really on a mission, specifically in these last 6 months, to really find the Nate that I am most comfortable with, that I'm most proud of, that I'm most um, in love with. I allowed a lot of things, as we all do, especially sometimes being an artist and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a teacher. You find yourself giving a lot of yourself to other people, and you don't think about filling yourself back up or taking a pause to replenish and recoup and re-establish all that you've thrown out to fill that space of from what you just poured out. And I'm learning to fill me up. Um, uh, I remember at some point during this, I took a week and I went and stayed in a hotel in downtown Baltimore. And I didn't really do anything. I think I went left out maybe twice. Um, and I went in uh, to the mall that was across the street. I think I went and got something to eat once. But for the most part, I just chilled in a hotel and I got relaxed. I even got to do my show, but I just really I found a more calm in me. Like I'm always a real cool person. I don't really overreact a lot. I don't jump to react. But I found myself always trying to the look of it was always helping other people, but I was always trying to make other people happy. I found myself having a lot of people around me that kind of resembled me in many different ways, in many different aspects of my life, or they resembled people that I knew, and I found myself, always wanting to make them happy. So much so that anybody that's probably met me in the last 7, 8 years, they would tell you the first thing, especially if it was about art, my first initial conversation will always be, how can I help you? And if it didn't come out my mouth verbally, it was definitely in my actions. And there's nothing wrong with being that person. I think I got a lot of that from many of the women in my life, specifically my mother.
Your guest is here.
Oh, you can bring him in. I didn't see him on the screen.
I've been chatting you for like.
Yeah, you can bring him in. Bonnie is such a nice guy. I've learned that as well, to give a compliment. It really breaks the ice and helps people to open up a little bit more, and break down their walls. Uh, I don't see anybody. Hello?
I'm here.
How's it going, sir?
Pretty good. Let's see here. Let me get this video going for you.
I didn't know who this person was that was on name.
What you say, brother?
How you doing, sir?
I can't complain, man.
Can't complain. Oh, you're in the studio. He had to show us the studio life. He out there mixing tapes and whatnot. What's going on?
Life is always life, man. It's always here. I'm actually at home, bro.
And you're in Lafayette, right?
Opelousas, Louisiana.
Where is that at? Say it again.
Opelousas, Louisiana.
I couldn't even tell you how to spell that. What part of Louisiana is that?
Central. So
Okay.
I'm right smack dab in the heart of Louisiana, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So how has this been for you? Well, first of all, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. I've been good, brother. I can't lie about it, man.
He's a fellow copping player. And
Really?
such. I haven't seen him since I think I may have seen you once since you left, but how has life been as
Man, life's
artist?
been, well, you know, I got to say, man, Coppin prepared me. You know, Coppin got me ready for what I got into.
Hood streets.
Yeah, it got me ready for what I got into. I
Mm.
did a little theater. I did quite a few plays, and then somebody came up to me for one of my plays. I had a ton of lights that I had rented from the Guitar Center and strung up all over in this gymnasium to run this being a 3-act play that I had written, man. And the play did well, but somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, can you run these lights for me for another show that I'm doing?" And I was like, "I sure can. I sure can." Did lights for that person, and then next thing you know, I'm designing lights for clubs and then installing for Sky Zones across the country, man. So
if you don't know, when I say urban arts or UAP, I don't really talk about it as much anymore. But urban arts and production was a major at Coppin State University. Is now partnering with the English department there, but it has been a major there for a couple years. I say about 15 so years now, and it really has every urban art major that you meet. Now, there's another school with an urban art major in Baltimore, but it's not the same thing. There's more creative writing and stuff like that, but ours is more based in everything that you can think of. If you think of what a community theater is, it really was training us for a life of community theater and beyond. And what Kim had just said just now, it because of the work that he did on crew there, it gave him the confidence to say, yeah, I can be a lighting tech. And urban arts is what you make it. And each one of us has something very similar, but yet something totally different that we can specialize in. And then everything else overlaps itself. So Mr. Brown gave a lot of us a lot of a lot of training. And
it was that the black box downstairs in the old television studio that we redid. It was that got me doing what I do now. It was doing that project with Mr. Brown. Coppin was good for what I liked about Coppin. They were good for calling in professionals. They would call in a professional to come in and show us something. So Alan Weeks was the lighting guy for Coppin. And Alan Weeks came in to hang all the lights inside of the black box. And so I took the wires, climbed up, and I'm in the ceiling, I'm moving around the ceiling, hooking up everything. And Alan's looking at me. He's like, "Hey, man, you did this before?" I was like, "Oh." It was like, pretty good.
It just came natural.
And so he teamed me up with somebody else in DC, Kenneth Armstrong, I think his name was. And I took a side job with him doing lighting for the events at all the hotels out in DC. And so that gave me just everything. And then you go back to Coppin, and we got classes that are teaching me how to build reports and how to design lighting and how to do lighting plots and things like that. And put all that together, man, you can see my work pretty much across the country in any Sky Zone you go in. And I never thought that I would have gained all that just by going to college, man.
And more importantly, at HBCU, because often HBCUs have a bad reputation for having nurturing students, but not having all of the resources in-house that's required. And we got a great system of always having somebody come in and do a residency, or somebody that was helping one of our either Amini or James Brown out in terms of that. Now, that wasn't my game there. I'm not climbing nothing. Just put me in the costume room or stage management or something like that, and I can excel. I'm not climbing nothing though. It wasn't the payment scale wasn't high enough for me to take those adventures. But meeting you there, you just always had a lot of energy in terms of not being afraid to do anything. And I think that was kind of the stipulation for wanting to be an urban art major. You had to have this crazy, abnormal tendency to just try something outside of the box.
Right.
And many of us we had graduated a lot sooner had we not had that strange capacity. But but it was necessary. I think we learned so much more in the interim doing all the other stuff than we would have in a basic 4-year program. But
I had been to different colleges before Coppin. Coppin was, I want to say, the third college that I went to in my lifespan. And it's crazy that that's the one that I finished, And a lot of times, I have a debate, within myself sometimes about the resources that was available to me at Coppin, going to an HBCU. And so with that, I think I had to think about, well, what resources did I need? Did I need to get money on time, or did I need to have a real exciting and flashy and far advanced computer lab to go and sit down and type my paper in? Did I need all of that compared to the resources that I did have? Professors, the professors there were there for me. They weren't exactly there just for their paychecks or because they could have taught anywhere. A lot of professors.
They knew your name. They knew your name, like they knew you personally.
Exactly. No matter where I went on campus, it didn't matter if I was in that major or not. Professors knew. All the students knew each other. It was all love on campus, and it's crazy that Coppin was set in the middle of one of the toughest places on the planet. You know what I mean? North Avenue is not an easy place to be. And I know a lot of people that just couldn't make it, on North Avenue. And it's just the fact that Coppin sat right on the heart of North Avenue. And it was a safe haven for everything else that went on. And none of that ever made its way onto campus. You know what I mean? And it was always my go-to place out there in Baltimore. I showed up in Baltimore. I had never been on the East Coast before, I think, ever. It was a lifestyle that I'd never seen. It was a culture that I'd never seen, but it was so much love from the people there. Everything that I had heard about the area was just falsified or maybe exploded to be more than what it was, i.e. the wire, so to speak. It was just the things that I had heard and the things that I encountered were two complete different things.
Well, coming from Louisiana, you probably understand that even more because it's like this 30-second clip that becomes a narrative about who people are. And then, many of the individuals that I got to meet from Louisiana had that same perspective because they saw us in The Wire or Homicide or on the general news. And coming to places where we're from, people have to come there in order to experience the life. It's not like a New York where you go find a little bit of everything. You have to really find what you're looking for here. But it really, one of the hardest parts for me was I think many of us took advantage of many of the resources we had outside of networking with each other. That was one of my biggest regrets in not being more of a leader and kind of pushing that aspect more, because that's what normally makes a HBCU great. The networking from within. And I don't think at Coppin, and I still don't think that they've really grasped the idea of the power and the potential that the individuals that make up that unit has. It was one of the reasons I started this program. It was supposed to be like a roadhouse for all of us to be able to, either guest host or host. And this wasn't supposed to be my seat alone. But I think we as a whole did not do our best, even though we were doing so much other things, but we didn't do our best in networking. That's if I had a gripe, which I have many, but that's the biggest one that I had.
But that's not singularly with Coppin. When I came home, I knew the first thing I wanted to do was direct a play. And I wanted to do a big one. I wanted to come in with a bang And in all honesty, I had done community theater here for years before I went to Coppin. Because I showed up at Coppin at 32 years old.
Ooh.
And, yeah, I showed up late. Well, I was a late bloomer.
But see, again, that was the norm at Coppin.
That was the norm at Coppin.
Very traditional. So you were right on time.
When I came home, I put this first play on, and I billed it as a traveling play that came from somewhere else, like a major production. I put it on at the largest theater here in town. And it sold well. It was a great show. And then after that, there were several others who wanted to do plays, and a lot of them were local poets who had wrote plays. And I mean, like this one play, this girl's writing was just absolutely amazing. And I was sitting there and I was watching the play, and you know how we do, we tear things apart. Once you've been trained in something, you've written papers on something, you can no longer go to a play and not write that critique in your head as the play is going on. And I'm doing different things, different studies that we had done, over the time at Coppin. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the play, but I'm not enjoying it. And so I decided to close my eyes and listen to the play and enjoyed it. And so when it was over, I approached the director. I let her know. She was the writer, she was the director, she was the producer, she was the promoter, she was the set designer, she was the costume designer. She had all of these jobs on her plate. And I spoke to her. I was like, you said you had, 7 other plays that you had written. Would you be interested in teaming up and allowing another director to come in, and we can get a costume designer, and, we can get a choreographer, we can get the people that specialize in what it is that they do and come together and make, a great play. And her response to me was, oh no, these are my babies. These are my babies. And I think that the younger generation, because these were all younger people, none of them had actually been to school for college. It wasn't just her. It was several others here who wanted to do the same thing that I had just done. But I could not get all of them to work together on one show. Everybody wanted to do their own individual baby. Nobody wanted to take that baby and let others mold it and help it grow, send it to school, let it become educated. No one really wanted to do that. Everyone wanted to smother their child. And I thought that was a really, really bad thing. And I noticed that was something that just happens across the board. It's not just singular with Coppin. I think it might be something that's just singular with us. I think it's something that we should talk about and we should actually work through.
I think what happens is we're in this new mode of begging. And I can't even think of another term for it, but begging. So somebody like you and I, who have all the parts or most of the parts, or a lot of parts, or the important parts to be able to put on, say, a production, they're looking for somebody to come and give them a blank check.
No.
They don't want to do the work that it takes, or requires really to be successful. They just want They want Tyler Perry to come and discover them.
And they don't understand what Tyler Perry went through himself. I don't think they know Tyler's true story of all that he went through and all the help he had to get where he is. It's not something that he did totally by himself. And it's something that he worked on for years and sacrificed for until he got to the point where he is now. I don't think they understand that full story of him. They just see one play and then success. And they think that they can do the same thing. One play and then success. And it's not something that I could teach. During all of my productions, every play that I've had, I've given the same spiel, and I've tried to teach as many as I can. Every show I bring in somebody who's never been on stage ever in their life. And I do it on purpose because it's not to say, oh, I'm a great director and I can direct this person. It's just to bring someone in and show them something new. And then let them bloom, in which direction they want to go. It matters not. If you're interested and you show up, man, it's on. Come on in. Let's make this happen.
But they often are people that are easier to work with than somebody
Yes,
who's
they
been
are.
doing this for years. And that's one of the reasons I always pick somebody who doesn't know much about it, not so I can mold them, but so they can be molded by the process,
Right.
the proper
Exactly.
way.
I
Right.
bring in a lot of. I try to get a new stage manager every production that I do. That way, someone is sitting there and they're pretty much learning everything that ticks with a play.
Mhm.
I try to find a young student from somewhere, and then I try and train them on the lighting board so that they can actually go up there and learn the lighting board and actually get that trade in. Some of
Right.
them excel and move on to do other things, and others move around the theater and do other things, and others like, yeah, this ain't for me. It was great. I had fun. I enjoyed it, but it's that opportunity that you give. You know what I mean? It tends to try and break the mold that we're kind of like trapped in right now.
Mhm.
And right now, it just seems that in with everything that's going on today, I do see pieces of that mold breaking away. But when I first came home, it was a seriously tight mold around every individual person. And it just seemed like every person felt like they were in their own bubble and they needed to break free from that bubble themselves. And I don't think they realized just how much help they could get from the outside of that bubble. I think it's some of them just had simple trust issues. The young lady and her baby, this was something that she created and she wanted to make sure that, it made it all the way. But those are just misguided steps. And so I try to provide guidance every opportunity that I have.
One of my questions that is, do you have your thing plugged up? Because I'm hearing a lot of I can hear myself.
You hearing yourself?
Yeah. Like, do you have it turned on somewhere else, or?
Yeah, it's on the screen. I'll do this for
So
you.
one of the questions that I have for you is, what I'm finding now, being in another phase of my artistry in terms of me producing work and coming in and consulting and helping. I'm finding two things. One, people don't want to do the dirty work. Like,
No.
if I go in, I'll do everything from direct to act to stage crew and box office. But I'm finding a lot of people that don't want to do that. Or I'm getting the other side where they would rather take their content, as the young lady had with you, and take that to a non-black person to help them. Is that something that you're coming across, or do you see that as something that's going to hurt us in the long run?
Um,
Not saying there's anything wrong, because I've learned a lot of things from other cultures, but we only feel safe with our work in terms of it being successful when it comes from somebody that doesn't look like us.
I can tell you this much. For me personally, no, because I personally work with everybody. It doesn't matter, a person's race. It doesn't matter a person's sexual orientation. Those kind of things don't matter to me. A person's personality is what matters to me.
Right.
A person's gift and their skill set is what matters to me. I was surprised. On the cruise that I've had a woman outwork every man that I've ever hired. You know what I mean? And I thought that was crazy, at first, but she outworked every guy with no questions asked, hands down. Of course, there were some things, she couldn't exactly do as far as lift work and things like that, and
Right.
high heights and strapping up. But the ethic and the go get it attitude was everything that I wanted in an employee. You know, um, when I go to do productions, I get called to do a production. I get called to do productions from a white group who wants to do something. I've done productions for really and truthfully out here. Main thing is Mardi Gras crew. February comes around and there is a Mardi Gras ball. There's a Mardi Gras ball every week. And there was one in particular. This was pretty much a closed group. They didn't even have black members, but the whole crew doing the production was all black. I don't think it matters much as per se here, but I do believe that people tend to think that if you are independent, if you are small, then you can't help them. They think that this guy's showing up with an iPhone to shoot this video for you. Oh, you really gonna do a piss poor job. I really don't want to see you here. But they don't understand it's never really the tools, it's always the producer. It's always the person using those tools. And I've seen guys out here with iPhones shoot some amazing videos. And I say that just as an example. In my own work, when I was doing these Sky Zones, the very first client I had, he kept throwing at me, I can go and get the national guys to come in and do this work. And my only response to him was, sure, you can go and you can get the national guys to come and do this work if that's what makes you feel comfortable. I said, but my company can do exactly what their company does without all the overhead that their company has to do. You see what I'm saying? Right. So in other words, I'm going to charge you almost half of what they're going to charge you to do the exact same job. I think that mentality goes around a lot. It's not per se, oh, I only want to work with these guys. I've got lighting crews. I've got another white guy. He does excellent lighting work. And he does work for a lot of the Zydeco bands out here. You see what I'm saying? And so I don't think it's per se, oh, we don't want to work with you because you're black, or we don't want to work with you because you're white. It's more so, now you're too new. Now you're too small. Now you're not established. It's more so those things that me personally, I've had to battle against when dealing with clients, because it's the same job. It's the same lights. I'm going to hang them the exact same way. I'm going to use all of the same equipment. I'm just not going to have a crew of 10 people come down and do the job for me. I'm going to do your bid here at home, relaxing. And when I'm done, I'm going to have everything drop shit to your place. And then I'm personally going to show up with 2 other men and we're going to get the place done. That is a good thing. That's never a bad thing. You see what I'm saying?
I think people get an idea of what a production is, because most of, and my biggest gripe with a lot of, even the playwrights or directors now, a lot of them haven't spent, and I think it's an attitude that many of us who went to school and learned a lot of this, and studied at community theaters and under certain individuals, it's frustrating to go into something, and I've been asked to act or, act as a number of different jobs on productions, and I'm realizing the people around me have no skill sets in what they want to do. And that's not to prevent anybody from doing anything, but it says a lot to have somebody who is knowledgeable around you. And then I realized, well, that's why they ask you to do it, but they don't have skill sets in what they're doing. So it makes my job harder, because now I'm doing all the extra stuff, or I'm watching other people have to do all of the extra things. That if this person would have just took a class, you don't even got to take a whole degree. Just take the class, and you'll get some understanding.
In my area here, which is one of the things that I'm looking into now, my wife and I are debating on opening up a school here. It's an art school. And we just want to do a lot of different things. I mean, we want to teach them, theater. We want to teach dance. We have a person who wants to teach music, as far as piano goes, and there's another one that wants to teach chorus. But we also want to try and teach things like cooking, things like sewing. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's so many life skills that can be taught. And all of this stuff is creativity. Don't get me wrong. I'll write a fire poem. I'll get up and I'll perform it all bad, and I'll direct a pretty bad show, and I'll hang some lights, and I'll create this awesome lighting scene. But man, I'll go in that kitchen back there, burn it down, man. And for me, it's everything's about them barbecues, man. But for me, when I'm in the kitchen, it's the same artistic feeling that I'm getting from everything else that I do artistically. It's all being creative, even though it's a part of life. We have to cook for our families. We have to, sew our garments together. It's still creativity, and it's still a part of life. Most of life is about creativity. Most of it. And I don't think, even when it comes to budgeting, you got to do that creativity. You have to have some creative way of getting all your plans together, and I think people are missing that. I think a lot of people are missing that option. Luckily for me, so when I got into theater, I was on the college campus, but I really wasn't getting a hands-on on anything at that particular college. It's just classroom, and then Shakespeare and more Shakespeare, and more Shakespeare. And I wanted to know more. I wanted to know, well, how we do these lights, or what about this director? What about this playwright? And there was just so many different things that I just wasn't getting fed. You know what I mean? And I was hungry, man. And then I got lucky and got into the community theater in town, and that's where things sparked. But it wasn't anybody there to teach me. The director was just like, hat rack. You think you can get up there and move these lights around and aim them over here and here and here? And I'm like, sure. It was that mentality that cop and love, somebody who was willing to go out and get it done. Yeah, I never did it before, but look, I'll get up there and I'll see what I can do. You need it done. Hey, I'm on my way. I got this idea. Let's try this out. They wanted that, but I got all of that there. But what I didn't get was actual instruction. So for me, in my copping experience, I had done several plays already, several different productions. And when I got it copping, I understood all the whys. I didn't know why I had to aim this light this certain way for it to match. I just knew by doing it, I had to cock it a little this way, shake this thing down, and then it's on that person perfectly. I don't see any shadows. But when I did copping, I understand, oh, you were using R34 lens, you were using a PAR 64. I get all of the instruction. This light puts out this much amplitude. You don't want your stage to be this hot. I learned so many different techniques that I was just doing on the fly, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people are missing. They come and they start doing stuff on the fly, and they allow that to trick themselves into thinking that they know what it is that they're doing. And they really don't. They really have no idea of what it is that they're doing. They're just winging it. And it's coming out great because they have a gift at what they're doing. They may be a natural at it. Maybe they really focused on what they taught themselves. But if you don't have any kind of training whatsoever, then you don't have that skill set yet. You just have a basic knowledge. You know what I mean?
It definitely becomes a problem because, well, I'm not gonna say a problem, but that type of training, that hands-on training, is one of the reasons I chose to go to a smaller school versus one of the schools that gave me a better scholarship. It was more so because I wanted to learn in a different way. I wanted to learn more hands-on versus just out of a book or in a lecture hall. But one of the things I just want more, even the people who aren't young coming out of high school, but just all these people who are doing their own films, becoming photographers, starting their own restaurants, learn the basics of what you're doing, not so you can do those things, but so you learn how to break the rules.
Right.
And one of the things that I regret more is not leaning on the resources that I had more, like a Mr. Brown, even though I learned a lot, but you dealt more with the technical stuff in terms of lighting and sound. I didn't really do as much of that. I only did it when he needed my help versus, going there for every show.
I was in Brown face though, man. Like, you gonna teach me?
But it was just other things that I had interest in, like the backstage costuming and all those things. So I learned those things in depth. But when you have resources and we give Mr. Brown a lot of credit because he did a lot of work that wasn't in his job description. But I really value those individuals that I've got to meet like that. But I just wish more people would seek out the information rather than just doing it the hard way. You waste so much money, you waste so much time, and then people don't realize when somebody go and see a bad play, the next person who invite them to a play, they're going to look at that experience that they just had, and they're not going to want to come to your stuff.
I had one play go down where nobody showed up. And what had happened was I did a really awesome play before, and I only filled my theater up half capacity. And at the time, I only had, enough funding to do the show, just that once, do the show that just that once. And what happened was I did it that once, and then word got out about the particular play that had just happened. Hey, mom, this we're gonna want to see what's going on. So word came out that I had just started, the play had came, and then, hey girl, did you go see that play? No, what play? Oh, the stage play. They had a stage play going on in such and such place. Did you go see that play? No, I didn't go see the play. Ooh, girl, you gotta go see the play. Well, the next person that did the play was not me, and that person was one of the persons who, they did this well, and so they want, okay, this nothing. So they did this play, and they wanted to do, their own thing. They had done well in poetry, so now they go in and do a play, but they have no idea how to direct the play. So they just pass out scripts to their friends and say, okay, do it, and then that's the show that they put on. So the person that got called and said, hey, did you go see the play? No, I didn't go see the play. Girl, go see the play. Well, they went to the very next play and didn't have a great experience that the other person had. So when the next time I do a play, nobody came because they went to the last one and it wasn't that great, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get everybody working on one play together. We all can learn. We all can make it happen. Go get that.
But I think people, a lot of the newbies and a lot of the people who may be great at what they do, but they may not have that skill set to put it on as a whole production.
Right.
It's just the arrogance level that I'm finding, even amongst people who went to school, because they didn't take the time to learn or get to know a Mr. Brown or a meaning in a way that they would actually learn something. Right. But it really hurt them because now I have a lot of people now that want to be filmmakers who used to laugh at the fact that I did theater or was like that little theater space, oh yeah, I knew you at Coppin, I knew you did the little theater thing. Can you help me do this? And you realize they have nothing to put together to put on something that looks good, that is actually good. And I love working with them when they're willing to learn. But I'm finding a lot of people right now aren't willing to learn. They're just not willing to take that time.
To me, it seems like, well, they were successful at this one thing, and they're destined to be successful at another thing.
Right.
Or they feel that, college is overrated. I'm not going to college. That's overrated. It's funny. One of the people that I was so surprised that I would give so much credit to from Coppin, very surprised that I would give this gentleman so much credit. That was Dr. Gary Hyatt. Because no matter how much we bump heads on everything else,
I'm gonna throw my key away. So you better talk.
It didn't matter how much we bumped heads on everything else, because I had a different vision of theater that they didn't really like. And that was a known thing, that they really didn't care about my vision of theater. But they still taught me theater from what they knew in their perspective. And Hyatt taught me business theater. He taught me the whole business aspect of it, which was something that I had no knowledge of. All I knew of was, man, I'm gonna do a play, man. I'm gonna put it out there on the radio, and I'm gonna charge $20. They gonna come in and give me the ticket. I didn't know nothing about paying rights for whoever play I was using, rights for whoever music I was using. Heck, man, I didn't even know about the rights for putting out flyers. And these are all the things I learned. And I remember I got home and I was doing a play at a particular theater here in town. And this is an A-list theater. It's a roadhouse. It's where all the shows come in. So there's no games over there. So I walked in the bar, and this bar is having an open mic night. And I'm scouting for talent to put this production, get some auditioners in. And I walked in, this guy has this huge life-size poster of himself. And his shirt's off, man. He's really selling himself, and I don't knock him for that. The whole every part that I've ever done, it wasn't about the lights, it was about me. I walked in and I sold myself to my clients. So I'm not knocking him for his poster. What I am saying, though, is on his poster, he said, I'm doing a play at such and such theater coming soon. And I think he had a year date. He didn't have, February 25th, 2020. He didn't have that up there. He just basically had coming soon, such and such date, and that was going to be it. And I looked at it, and I was like, he was in there. And I was like, yo, you doing a play over at the Hyman? He was like, yeah, I got it coming, man. I was like, so you went in and you talked to the lady off in the office already? You already got your tentative dates and everything like that? He was like, no, I hadn't even been there. And I'm like, you haven't been to the theater yet? And he was like, no, I haven't been there. I just did the poster and stuck it up here. I got a couple of them elsewhere too. And I had to explain to him. I said, well, brother, what you're doing is fraud. I said, essentially, you have their name on your flyer stating that you're going to have a production there, in a certain period of time. I was like, just the mere fact that you put their name on this flyer, you owe them money if they see this. I was like, and trust me, they're not just going to say, hey, you owe us 50, 60 bucks. They're going to say, you owe us a production. You owe us what we would have made off of a production. I'm like, this is legal law. I'm like, what you doing? This poster, I know it's just a simple poster, but it's illegal. Leave it drunk, go ahead. I was full of these.
But that type of guerrilla style marketing and business, it seems to be what is, it's cool and it's kind of dope now to be aggressive and not really deal with facts. That's kind of the space that we're in. And when you're in the arts, your integrity will mean the difference. Like you say, if we do 3 productions in the same space and those first 2 are horrible, chances are whoever comes in third, if they're not bringing in their own audience, they're not going to sell out. They're not going to even get near to selling out.
No,
but people think that's, individuals think that that's the way to do things, to be that aggressive and be that misleading. Because at the end, we all, it's good, but not understanding the business. And I think that there needs to be definitely a balance. And that's another thing I didn't think about personally. I knew how to make money, and put on, like I would gamble, not I would gamble my rent money every production that I would do. And I would always, and it was one where it was like the 12th hour. And I'm like, God, something got to come because this ain't adding up right now. And I only had enough to be able to pay people. And I was so mad, but then for some hopes, we were able to break even and I was able to recoup what I put into it as well. But, again, learning how to not bank on ticket sales. Your ticket sales should be all profit. You shouldn't be banking on that or paying bills with it. But
well, what I did was when I came home, I didn't have an audience, so there wasn't a set audience for me. I had to accumulate my audience. I had to accumulate my followers, and this was going to be the production that I was going to do that on. And so, luckily enough, I had every dime that I needed to put on this production already. That was enough money to put the production on, get the set together, and pay cast members. And so what I took from that was, okay, and then don't get me wrong, I didn't make it all back. You know what I mean? I did not make it all back. And so what I learned was, for each production, have it all before you start. That way you can make deals with if there's a certain artist that you want to bring in and they have a fee for their for whatever it is that they do, you can cover that. You can cover your set designers, you can cover your painters and things like that. And so I try to make sure that I had everything already. It's already set, and that's the pool that I'm pulling from. And when it's all said and done, ticket sales all come right back home and just refill the pot for the next production. And I've done 5 shows here that specific way. Only one show, and it was really for 2 shows, and it was really for other people who contacted me. Hey, look, we want to do a show here. Can you come in and give us a show? Where I did things where we didn't have any money. There was nothing. But I mean, it was those people were really to work. They were down for making it happen, even if they had to show up to these rehearsals without getting paid. If each one had to bring their own props, they were ready to do that. And it's great working with people like that. It's a wonderful thing. But when you're doing your own, you know, and your own producer, you need to make sure you have all that before you go in. You never really want to bank on ticket sales. If anything, bank on only getting half of that theater sold. You know what I mean? If anything, it's just the tail of the tape when you're doing production. Anything can happen and cause you to lose all of your seats. You know, anything can happen. So it's just best that you prepare yourself for anything to happen inside of doing any kind of production.
It is, but I think the business of being an artist is something that is, on one hand, the people who are about the art, we overlook that, and
Right.
the people who just want to capitalize and make money, they don't look at the art value, so they'll
Right.
put up anything because they just want to make money. And I think both sides, we're hurting the other side because we're
Right.
not thinking about the balance that is taken. Now where I'm at now, I'm more methodical and I'm more precise with the things that I do. Like right now, if I go in, somebody asks me to be any role in a production, I look at those things. And if I don't see those things lined up,
Right.
I have to gracefully say, well, this ain't for me. Well,
Yeah,
I'm not able to do that.
I had to bow out of this one.
Yeah,
And,
I'm not willing to work for free anymore. I still
right.
do community theaters, like I still participate at Arena Players,
I don't
but
have
I'll
one
set
of
up
those.
I'll if I do something at Arena Players, trust and believe, I set up my jewelry table outside. So that money's coming in somehow, some way. I'm not willing to just work for nothing anymore. But
Right.
you gotta learn the balance of it. Do you have any big projects coming up?
No, man. Right now, I'm on chill time. In all honesty, man, I'm chilling. There is a production that I wrote on Mahalia Jackson that I've been holding on the shelf, just waiting for an opportunity to permit itself where I can present it again. But that's the big play product. Other than that, with COVID and the way everything hit, just home relaxing, man. I was lucky enough to be able to sit at home and relax. You know, I worked really hard, you know,
Right.
and I mean, I worked hard, man. It was a lot of trips, a lot of travels, different clients. Oh, you want me? Look, I'll be out there tomorrow, and the next day I'm on a plane, you know, going somewhere else, and it always happens. So I worked really hard. And so for this break that I have, you know, I kind of happily accept it. It gives me time at home. It just gives me time to relax. And so
Are
I'm
you thinking of anything that you can? Because if this looks like we're going to be in this at least for the next year in some shape or fashion, and that's just the way I'm looking at things and the way they're going. We opening up, but things are going to close back up very shortly once because it's still not under control. Are you thinking about ways to incorporate yourself in the virtual world? Because I tried it, throughout this, but again, like you said, we have to prepare ourselves. And
Right.
I did it just to see that I can do it and see what it looks like. But now, I just finished doing a virtual production where we did it as a regular theater play, but it was all live stream versus, people being in the audience and stuff like that. But are you thinking right now of some ways to incorporate some of the restrictions we have
Right.
into what you can do?
Well, I did think about different concerts that we could throw. One of the main things that I do here at home is live concerts. And we haven't had a live concert since it started. And there's a lot of bands that are hurting. And so I've been thinking about different ideas to do live concerts in a way where people can still come. Kind of like your old school drive-in theater, you know what I mean? But now it's just a drive-in concert. It's kind of like a mix of a drive-in theater and a jeepney without everybody running around. On the technical side of things, as far as installation goes, I do a lot of installations with fog and CO2, and I've been trying to find ways to create a different type of fog that actually sanitizes as it shoots out. That's something that my clients seem to really want to see. And then the clients themselves have to go into virtual worlds. So it's more so installing things that help them get into the virtual world. because even though we got slammed into virtual, we weren't really on that scale yet. Virtual had really just opened up, and everybody still prefers face-to-face communication, you know. And so it's more so trying to help the world understand virtual, learn it more myself, and find out what tools can each business need so that I can continue my installation game. Because installations really what drove me up. It wasn't more so my performances. It was more so the performances of everybody else. And it gave me a steady job as far as creating venue, creating new looks. Just all of those places have to create something. It's just the time is now where everyone has to sit back and really try their best to think creatively. As far as school goes, you know, a lot of kids are home now. My kids are home in school, so I'm home teaching them that and working with them on homeschooling. But the problem with that is there's a lot of parents who still have to go to work. Not only are there parents who still have to go to work, but there are parents who really don't know this stuff. You know what I mean? It's you can't say shame on them that they don't. That's what the schools was for. The schools were to give their children, you know, a better opportunity in education than that parent may have had. But now you have parents who don't know 2 + 2. They really don't. They know how to cook. They know how to clean. You know, they know how to provide. But you know, you got fathers that know how to go out and work, but they can't add. They can't necessarily read. You know what I mean? And now they're forced to try and stay home and help their children along with computers that they don't understand. So one of the things that I thought was like a hub. Instead of the school, it's another facility where they can actually drop their kids off with someone who can fix those computers for them, who can keep them online and keep them on task while the teacher is giving all the instructions online, which is something else. It's all about being creative. You have to think about what's going on and get creative with it, create something new. Right now, with everything that's going on, it's about to be a 180-degree turn for everyone. There's going to be people who are filthy rich that's going to go completely broke. And you got people that's completely broke that now have a wide window of opportunity to turn things around for themselves and become incredibly rich. It's all about what you can do. How creative can you be to fix some of the problems that we have now? There's several issues now that could use some attention. You know what I mean?
But I think in this time, it's been 6 months for us here, and I think I've been looking at this from different angles. So I'm a school teacher, so I'm the person sitting on the screen, you know, trying to get your child to pay attention to a screen, you know. But I'm also an artist where I do jewelry, I do radio. I'm figuring out ways. Like we normally have a studio, but you know, we're having to do this virtually now because we just don't want somebody to get sick on our watch, or for any of us to get sick on trying to put up a radio show. But in us, what I'm seeing is in our people's pursuit to be rich, they're really making the same mistakes that they've always made.
Right.
Like you got money now, and the first thing people wanted to do was flex. You know, they started their little CMOS business. They started their little restaurant. Yeah, I said I'm gonna stop putting little in front of other people's dreams. But they started their CMOS. I'm working on me. I'm a work in progress. But they're, you know, we're doing the things that will bring us forward, but it's not a legitimate business. You know, they haven't really registered the business. They don't. They're still using the same account as their personal as they're using for business. So nobody's doing anything differently.
And they have to understand. So after I did the park, this particular owner had a second park that he wanted me to do. But I did his first park, and we got that done. And sure enough, man, look, I'm not gonna lie. When I got that brother's check, I took his check. I went and I bought me a brand new truck. Now, it's a Lincoln, okay.
Okay, more flat.
You know, it's a Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, it's a Lincoln. But you know what? I put 300,000 miles on that truck. I invested in something that would grow with the business, that would help my business grow. the catch is, so after I did all that, I opened up bank accounts and everything. Because all before I was just freelancing stuff. Different club owners would call and they'd be like, "Hey, you can come and program these lights for us?" And I'd show up, they pay me cash, and I walk out the door. Always happened that way. This guy, I needed insurance. I needed to have a lot of things. I needed accounts with rental agencies so that I could rent lifts. They don't just rent those out to any Joe Boo who shows up. You have to have an account with them in order to rent some of that major equipment that you need.
Which means you need a business license in order to liability insurance, all that.
So there's this one guy, and I give this brother a lot of credit, though we don't speak today, because great minds do tend to bump heads sometimes when they start thinking about it. But I give this brother all the credit. He's an older gentleman. He pretty much started the game here in my town as far as independents doing lighting and staging and sound and things like that. And he was, old head. I went to him and I was talking to him. I was like, "Man, look, I got this Sky Zone park. They want me to do all of this stuff, man, but I don't know how to do all this. I'm wondering if me and you could get together, and then we could use all of your insurances and all your business licenses to put all this together." And the brother was so hardcore to me, man. He was like, "Why in the fuck would I work with you? You ain't nobody." And it's the way he explained it to me. He's like, "You can't go get a business license by tomorrow. You don't know how to go to the courthouse, have your paperwork together, stating what the name of your business is going to be, give them the $50 that they need for your name, then take that paperwork and go to the next room over in the courthouse and tell them this is your business name, this is your business license, and pay them the $100 they need for your business license. You don't know how to do that. You don't know how to contact the Secretary of State and send them a letter and tell them that you need your independent EIN number." But it was the way he was telling me. He was essentially giving me all the information that I needed. But he was telling me in such a derogatory way, like, "You're not going to do it. You're not going to get up and go do all of that. Why would I work with you? I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You're a great kid. You're an intelligent kid, but you don't do enough. You don't know how to go do all this stuff." I said, "Oh, okay." Yeah. I walked out of his hotel room and I went straight to home, did my paperwork, went straight to the courthouse, and I got my business license that day. So here it is. I did that first job, not necessarily with the business license. I did have the insurance. I was able to, well, I didn't even get a lift. I did everything on ladders in there, right? But I got the check. Once I got the check, I took that check and I covered everything. And so when I went over for the grand opening, it was the unveil of the lighting. So it was a big party. He had everybody there. All of his his workers were there. Their families were there. And they were all enjoying the lights that I had put up. And I walked in, and he's like, "All right, Kemet, look here. I want you to go and do the park that I have in that was in Pensacola, Florida." And I was like, "Hey, man, no problem. I could get out to Pensacola, Florida, in a couple of days, and I could be out there." And he's like, "Great." He was like, I have your check here. I just need to write it out for you." It was the final payment was what I was there for. A little bit of money, not much. But when it was time for him to give it to me, I gave him the new information. "No, you can't write this one out to Kemet Najee. Please write this one out to Key Performances." Man, step back. Oh, okay. He was surprised that I actually went that far. It's almost like we set him back. "Oh, no. You got to go to Mama with your crime, baby."
It is that, and I wish you would have called me, because I went through that stuff while we were in college, and it was, I thought it was, I thought I had to have all these things to be successful, but it was something as simple as registering your name, going down to State Center and registering the name, and it's basic things that we overlook. But we like, man, I'm not giving the government, but you got children who go to school. So your money is being filtered through their education too, and all those, but we don't think about those things and how being legitimate will help us in the long run. Because
it does. It gives you. It gave being legitimate. As soon as I went legit with everything, it gave me access. Yeah. It gave me access to where. So now that I'm legit and have a business license, instead of going out and buying all of the equipment at full cost, man, I was able to get vendor deals. You know, vendoring with American DJ. I'm a vendor of just about every lighting company that there is now. And I get all the stuff at a dealer cost. I'm able to sell that to them little under list price and still make money off of it, man. And none of that would have been given to me if I wasn't legitimate, if I wasn't running a legitimate business.
And even how he probably does business, because now he got to give you an invoice. It's not just, here, take this little handwritten receipt. Now he's looking at you as a legitimate business source, and now he has to treat you a certain way. And sometimes it doesn't always go in our favor, because now they like when we work under the table. But that doesn't benefit us at the end of the deal. If he reneges on a promise, I need the rest of my money, please. You ain't do this, but our agreement said.
So, as an independent, I had some clients who expected me to do things under the table because I was still an independent. I'm like, well, no. I'm like, this is the way it needs to be done, you know. If you want your system to be correct, then we have to go about it the right way. There's no under the table stuff going on.
That's a big jump from the Kimmy that I knew. That's a big jump. But it
was going down, man. Right. You know, it was going down. I did a lot of things, a slick and a sly way. I did a lot of stuff like that.
But you had to learn. We all had to start somewhere. We had to learn. From some point or from perspective, and we had to start from somewhere. So it's not. I don't even look at that as different, but I can understand where you're probably more calmer now in terms of doing business versus trying to get everything and doing every single thing. Because really, that's how I learned. I was trying to be everything. I was literally missing a curtain call to go make it to this other production that I had right after. And then I was getting into trouble because my integrity was being questioned, because I wasn't able to follow through and finish and be available and be consistent. But I think, we had to put our heads together in some way to maybe, this may be your virtual moment to jump out there, because a lot of people need the information.
There was a time at Coppin, I think maybe it might have been my very, very first play. I just got there, Raising in the Sun. And I was playing Asagai, I think, and Asagai had like 2 scenes, and they were having a discussion at the rehearsal talking about, we need somebody to run lights. We haven't found a lighting tech yet. And I go, I can run lights. And they're like, no, Kimmy, you can't run lights. You're in the play. And my response was, I'm in the play, but I'm only playing Asagai. You got like, what, 2, 3 scenes? Look, I could be up there doing the lights, and when it's time for Asagai, I can jump down, run around, get up in here, sit on my costume, do this, jump out, run around, go back there. It's like, no, Kimmy, no. You're not running around. You're not doing all that. You're Asagai.
I'm gonna tell you, you pointed to the wrong person, they would have let you do that. And I'm telling you, I was that person who tried to do everything. It's been, I will say, in the last 8 years that I forced people to treat me like what they were paying me for. So if I'm an actor, I am not going to find my own costumes. I am not going to be the box office. You pay me to be an actor. And I refuse to do 2 jobs at one time. Like, I'm just not, no.
So for me, what was hard for me was letting go of my 9 to 5. That was the hardest thing for me. And so I had a great job. I was running the maintenance department at the newspaper out in Lafayette. And it was a great job. I was my own boss. It was rewarding in a sense that I got to turn the place around, because when I walked in, it was a mess. I got paid very well, and I had great benefits. And so here it is. I was making money doing these installations, but it was taking a lot out of me, because I would go to work was anywhere between 8 and 12 hours, depending if anything broke down. And I would come home and I would get on my computer and I would design all that. I would get off on a Friday and I'd go do an installation from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then try to show back up to work Monday morning, a basket case. finish up work Monday afternoon, and go back to the place to tighten up everything over there. I wasn't getting any sleep. And I was just so afraid of walking into my boss and saying, look, I quit. You know, I was afraid to do that. And then it got to the point to where I had 4 parks that was going to go down almost the same time. I'd already gotten calls and I'd already did bids, and 2 parks had already confirmed. The other 2 parks were on the verge of confirming. And, you know, I just thought about it and I was like, there's no way that I could do these parks and this job. Now, don't get me wrong, my job was for sure money. You know, it was for sure getting paid. You know, salaried employee, I'm going to get paid it regardless. You know, I don't work that hard because I know exactly what I'm doing. But man, it was just this one conversation I had with my boss. My boss was upset because I didn't put the hours in. Like, everything that I needed to do was done. As far as my machines were running, my machines were PM, no machines had broke down in my absence. Like, I had the place running very, very well. Mm-hmm. He was so upset that I didn't put in the hours. You know, he was upset that I didn't put in enough hours. Instead of putting in 46 hours, I'd only put in 36 hours. And I was thinking to myself, well, you know, the moment I left from here, I never stopped working. You know, I walked out of here, I got a lift, I transported that lift to the place, I got to the venue and got right on the lift and started hanging lights. I just finished returning the lift and now I'm back at work. I hadn't even slept, man. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking, you know what? You need to let me just go and at least see where this can lead. You know, give me 6 months, 3 months, whatever you feel you're comfortable with letting me go for. I got a tech here. He can keep everything going. The business is great. And I left. Man, 1 month later, I turned in my my 2-week notice. I was done.
But it's how you look at those things. You know, it's outside of me being a teacher, I haven't had a regular job. You know, I've worked for nonprofits, but it was as an artist. But I think I was doing. I think we did a play at Coppin called Flight.
Yes,
and it came.
That was awesome.
It came to be either I was going to be at rehearsal until 11:30 and be a half an hour late for work, or because I worked overnight, or I was going to be in a play. And I was me, you know, when you first met me, I had my own home. I've always been on my own and I was taking care of myself. So it was frightening for me to release myself from a regular paycheck. But I think I was talking to a meeting and she said, well, if it's something that you want, you have to be able to sacrifice. And up until that point, I had never had to sacrifice. You know, I had my good paying job. You know, I had my benefits. I had my art. I was able to, you know, do things. But the more I got into my passion, the less I was able to be on the other side, that benefactor. Right. So I looked at any job outside of me being an artist as a benefactor.
Right.
And the moment I was able to look at that job as a benefactor and not as my sole provider,
right,
I was able to make that leap and make that jump.
Right.
And it was very satisfying for me. But, you know, it wasn't easy because that check wasn't coming in every 2 weeks.
Okay. Go.
But I had to make that way. We only have a couple minutes left in the show. Can you give us some insight on, like, where can we find if somebody's trying to book you for something, or what are your services? How can people reach you or contact you?
Best place to catch up with Kim and Najee is on Facebook, man. And the services that I provide is pro sound, stage, light, and staging, man. We have a nice crew. We do stage, light, sound. We do installations. It's anything. It's digital entertainment, man. Sales, installation, consulting is what we do. Key Performance. Just look me up on Facebook. There's a Key Performance page. If you go on the Key Performance page on Facebook, you'll see all of our installations. There's several pictures. There's several videos of some of the concerts that we've done. If you go to my own profile page, you'll be able to contact me through there as well. And the Key Performances also has a Key Performances theater group page as well. If you're looking for a production of some sort, a lot of people contact me to either write a play, direct a play, or just to come in and kind of oversee, kind of artistic direct. Like there's another gentleman, just stop that. There's another gentleman who really wanted to do his first play but had no clue. And what I liked about him was that he wasn't saying, I've never done a play, but I'm gonna do this one. This is gonna be the bomb. He was more like, man, I saw your play. It was the bomb. I want to do my own play, and I want it to be a good play too. Will you come in and assist me in doing this particular play? And I'm all for that. You know what I mean? I'm all for those kind of things. So yeah, catch up on Facebook is the best place to catch us. Key Performances, and there's also exclusive lighting for concerts. And so catch us on Facebook, man. That's the best place to find us.
So my last question to you is the question I asked to all my guests. What advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? And what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
The advice that I would give my 17-year-old self, in all honesty, would go to college now. Don't wait till you're 30. That'd be definitely the biggest piece of advice that I could give.
Get it out the way.
Do that now, and I would give that to every 17-year-old that I ever walk across. In fact, I was at my wife was at the community university taking an exam, and so I kind of just sat around waiting for her. And as I, moseyed around the campus, the one thing that I picked up on was I only saw 4 Black men going to this college. That was it. And so one of them sat down in front of me in the library where I was at, and I talked to him, and I was like, brother, thank you. What you're doing is absolutely amazing. If you look around, you're one of very, very few here doing it. And I was like, you should let that be your energy and your fuel. You should let that drive you to nothing but success through this, through college and after, because not many of us are taking advantage of this opportunity. And so I would definitely tell my 17-year-old self, no. Drop the music, drop the girls, drop the cars, drop all of that. Drop the jobs and go right to college. Don't skip a beat. Go straight in there and get it done. Don't look for fame so early in life. Fame will find you if you're working towards it.
But I'm Kim and Najee, man. I'm Kim and Najee.
I just wish I would have thought about that at 17. I think life would be, who knows? Life is great, you know what I mean? But who knows what would have happened if I'd have went early, I think the one question that I would ask my 100-year-old self, in all honesty, and this is going to be a weird question, but was it all worth it? You know what I mean? I think at 100 years old, because right now I'm 43, and I still got a lot of life to go, man. Like, I done started a whole new page in life, and I'm so excited about it. And I can't wait to see, what turns out from there, And so at 100 years old, I have to ask myself, of all the decisions that you made, of all the moves you made, not what you regret doing, not what you would go back and change, out of everything that you've done, was it all worth it? And I think that would be a real serious question to ask myself at 100 years old. And I know I'm gonna make 100, so I'm gonna have to ask myself that.
Only Kemet,
man. I ain't going nowhere yet.
Only Kemet will live to be 200.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna make it, man.
So this has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Thank you, Kemet, for finally.
It's been a minute, man. And luckily, man,
it's been 7 years, sir.
I was extremely busy before No Lie About It, but I do have the time and opportunity, man. And I love the show. There's a lot of people that I need to network and connect you with for the show, man. There's a lot of
space and opportunity, sir. So we go ahead to send them this way, and let's try to figure out something we can do together. That's my mission. something that I wrote down as a goal for myself is to, go back. And I worked with quite a few of the urban art production majors. Not saying that, but really doing something quality. When I hear about Morgan or Howard or any of the other HBCUs that are surrounding us, we don't have that network system. And I don't want to necessarily lead it, but I definitely want to, kind of spark it off and be the catalyst in helping it to get to a point where we have so much to be able to give each other that we regret, we don't do it. And we just lost one of our popping players, and I don't want to lose anybody else.
No.
We're not at a space where we haven't really created a network. I know we can't be in each other's presence every day, but figuring out a way that we can help each other and just create work. That was the whole purpose of us being artists, is to work with other people.
Work with other artists.
So let's get home together. So it took you 7 years, sir, but you finally, got on the show, and it's definitely, if you want to come back, it's always an open door.
Definitely, man. It's just a lot of new things. The world is changing, and we all have to be creative together.
Right.
And so I've noticed that, and it's not really, the world isn't changing just behind one play. The world has been changing for the last 4 years. The world has really been on edge. Everybody's out the street. I never thought that I would witness so many things, in just this short span of life.
Right.
And for me personally, the reason why I'm just sitting back, I have my thoughts, I have my plans, I have my designs, but for the most part, I'm just sitting back and I'm just keeping an eye on everything, man. Somebody called me the other day. Like, nothing much happens in the weekend. We don't really have a whole lot that goes on. But in my neck of the woods, one of my friends called me and was like, "Kimmy, you're not at the protest?" Oh. They're like, "Man, why are you not at the protest? I knew that I would see you at this protest." And I'm like, "I'm 40. You would have saw me there at 20, you would have saw me there at 30, but at 40 with all these children, man, I'm more in tune with trying to do other things to create change." You know what I mean? I understand, and I'm grateful for all the protests. I really am. I'm grateful for everything that's going on because it's a catalyst for change. You see what I'm saying? But it's also a catalyst for disaster at the same time. And I think we all need to find other ways to become catalysts for change. So I'm just kind of sitting back and keeping an eye and watching everything and recording it all, and then taking it on to my own thoughts about it, and then representing it to everybody. You know what I mean? It's not exactly a time for me to be out there as much as I was. You know, Kevin from back then, boy, it was something serious, man. Always ready for a fight. You know what I mean? And I think one, the knowledge that I gained from Compton kind of calmed that aspect of my life. Not everything is meant to be a fight. Just because you have to fight for it doesn't mean that it's a physical fight. And I think people get that mixed up sometimes.
And that's a awesome way to end this. Just know your position,
right?
And become great at the lane that you're in, and stop looking at what everybody else is doing, or try to look at what you have been doing. Don't forget the Artist Exchange. Come on, Artist Exchange. So I have a cup in right now, but every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're definitely going to bring Kimmit back. I'm going to figure out how to get that knowledge, back on the show. So again, peace out, everybody. Be safe. It's raining outside right now, so enjoy your fall. Be safe out there, and don't get the wrong one. Peace out.
Peace out.
Vote.
Don't do. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
You have a good one. Oh.